The day he started to act indifferent, his mother-in-law took notes, but he had a secret of his own.
Of my 3 children, Alicia has always been the one who could read my silences. Even as a girl, she'd slip her hand into mine during family dinners when the conversation grew tense, a quiet acknowledgement that we spoke the same unspoken language. While her brothers inherited their father's bluntness, Alicia got my ability to sense the emotional weather of a room. For 32 years, this has been our bond, this understanding that required no words. 6 months ago, that bond felt like the only solid thing in a crumbling world. Alicia called just after dawn, her voice breaking in a way I'd only heard once before, when her first pregnancy ended in loss. They were losing the house. "Lawsuits," she said. "Romero's business disputes. Something about contracts and misunderstandings with former partners." She didn't explain much, and I didn't press. My daughter was drowning, and mothers don't interrogate drowning daughters about how they fell into the water. The number, $75,000, represented 15 years of careful savings. Money I'd squirreled away from my teaching salary, planned for retirement, for emergencies. This was an emergency. I transferred it in 3 installments over 2 weeks, watching decades of security evaporate into my daughter's crisis. When it was done, Alicia wept through the phone. "Mom, you saved us. I don't know how we'll ever repay you." Romero's gratitude came secondhand through Alicia, and once, briefly, when he took the phone, "We appreciate it." 4 syllables, flat as cardboard. No eye contact, even through a phone call. I could hear him already moving away, back to whatever he'd been doing. Pride, I told myself. Men hate feeling rescued, especially by their mothers-in-law. The Christmas party invitation arrived 3 weeks ago, via text. Not Alicia's voice, warm and apologetic for the late notice. Not even a phone call, just pixels on a screen. Holiday party, deck 21st, 6 p.m. Feel free to stop by if you're available. Feel free. As if I were a neighbor they barely knew. If you're available. As if I might have something better to do than celebrate Christmas with my grandchildren. As if I hadn't handed them my future just months ago. The house blazes with white lights, each window a showcase of tasteful holiday excess. I park on the street. The circular driveway is packed with luxury cars that gleam like wrapped gifts themselves. Through the front windows, I can see a bartender in a bow tie, a catering staff in black and white, guests holding champagne flutes that catch the light from a massive chandelier. I don't remember from before. People who were facing evictions 6 months ago shouldn't have chandeliers. Romero opens the door mid-laugh, turning from a cluster of guests to find me on the threshold. His smile doesn't change, but something behind his eyes does. A quick calculation, like a poker player realizing he's drawn a bad card. Alicia's mom is here, he announces to no one in particular, then steps aside to let me enter. Not my name. Not even the grandmother. Just a relationship label, a supporting character designation. I glimpse them immediately. Sophia's red velvet dress disappearing up the staircase. Miguel's small hand gripping the banister. "Sophia! Miguel!" I call, my purse still on my shoulder. But they had no idea she was taking all notes. Alicia materializes at the top of the stairs, blocking my view. "Mom, hi. The kids are exhausted. Holiday concert at school today. You know how it is." She's descending now, too quickly, her smile bright and terrible. "Let me get you some wine." "I haven't seen them in 2 months. My voice comes out smaller than I intended. "They're already in pajamas." She's reached the bottom step, taking my elbow like I'm elderly, like I need guidance. "Come meet everyone. There's amazing food." I try to move toward the stairs anyway, but Romero is suddenly there, a wall of expensive cologne and pressed wool. "Let them rest," he says, his hand joining Alicia's on my other elbow. I'm being steered, herded back toward the noise and strangers. Kids get overwhelmed at these things. You know how it is. But I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. The party swirls around me, a constellation of unfamiliar faces. I recognize no one, not Alicia's college friends, not the neighbors from when they first bought the house. These are new people, Romero's people, and they orbit him like he's the sun. A woman in a silver dress touches his arm possessively while recounting some business triumph. A man in his 60s claps Romero on the shoulder. Your comeback story, man. It's legendary. Like you're a completely different person than 5 years ago. Romero's laugh is smooth, practiced. Reinvention. That's the American dream, right? Something cold slides down my spine. I stay 40 minutes, long enough to not seem rude, short enough to preserve what's left of my dignity. Alicia kisses my cheek at the door, a quick, distracted peck, and promises we'll do lunch soon. The same promise she's made for months. In my car, the heater blowing stale air, I stare at the glowing house in my rearview mirror. My hands shake on the steering wheel. Something is deeply, irrevocably wrong. At 3 a.m, I'm scrolling through Romero's Facebook profile on my iPad, the blue light making my bedroom feel like an interrogation room. I've looked at these photos before, perfunctory glances when Alicia first started dating him, but now I'm studying them like evidence. The oldest post is from 4 years ago, a selfie with Alicia at a restaurant, her head on his shoulder, the caption, "New Beginnings." Before that, nothing. No awkward college photos, no high school throwbacks, no tagged pictures from friends. His Instagram is the same, a wall that begins in 2021 and extends no further back. I check LinkedIn. His profile claims he graduated from Arizona State in 2010, worked in business development for various companies. But there are no connections to classmates, no endorsements from former colleagues. People leave digital trails. Everyone does. Even my 78-year-old mother has photos from the 1960s that my cousin posted. Romero has none. I call my middle daughter, Patricia, please. A long sigh. I don't know. Alicia said his parents are dead. Car accident or something. Why are you interrogating Romero at 8 a.m? Does he have siblings? Old friends? You're overthinking this. People start fresh online all the time. I deleted my whole Facebook last year. Remember? But deleting is different from never existing. My youngest, Marcus, is even less helpful. Maybe he's just private mom. Not everyone lives their whole life online. You sound kind of paranoid. The word stings because maybe I am. Maybe grief and humiliation have twisted my instincts into conspiracy theories. But I can't stop. I remember Janet Orozco from the Teacher's Lounge, whose son Daniel went into private investigation after leaving the police force. I haven't spoken to Janet in 2 years, not since I retired, but she answers warmly and gives me Daniel's number without questions. $500, Daniel says after I explain. But I'll be honest. If he's clean, you'll feel silly. If he's not, you'll wish you'd called sooner. 3 days feel like 3 weeks. I clean my house twice, reorganize the pantry, anything to keep moving. When Daniel's email arrives, I sit in my car in the grocery store parking lot to read it, unable to wait until I'm home. Subject: Romero Vega, Preliminary Background Report. The first page is standard, current address, employment history that matches his LinkedIn claims. Then page 2, Social Security number issued, March 2019, 6 years ago. Credit history begins, April 2019. No records prior to 2019, under name Romero Vega. Sealed court record located, Miami-Dade County, Florida, filed August 2018. My vision tunnels. The parking lot sounds, car doors, shopping carts, children laughing, fade to white noise. Daniel's note at the bottom is clinical. This profile suggests one of three scenarios: witness protection program, legal identity change following criminal proceedings, or sophisticated identity fraud. Sealed records typically indicate juvenile cases, victim protection, or plea agreements. Recommend legal consultation before confrontation. I think about calling Alicia, demanding answers. But I imagine her face, the way it looked when she told me they were losing the house, desperate and drowning. And I know she'll choose him. She always has. Instead, I'll go to the house, unannounced. Tomorrow morning when Romero should be at his office, wherever that actually is. When Alicia can't hide the children upstairs. When I can finally look my daughter in the eye and ask her if she knows who she married. And if she knows what happened to the woman who saved her home. His car sits in the driveway like an accusation, the black BMW that shouldn't be there at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Romero is supposed to be at work. At least, that's what Alicia said last week during our brief, evasive phone call. He's so busy, Mom. The business is really taking off. But she had no idea. All the business talks are not new to her, and she has to know how it's really going. I ring the doorbell once, twice. On the third ring, I hold it down, letting the chime echo through the house like an alarm. The door opens 6 inches, Alicia's face appearing in the gap, and I barely recognize her. She's lost weight, too much weight, and her hair hangs limp around her shoulders. The exhaustion in her eyes makes her look a decade older than 32. Mom, this isn't a good time. It never is. I push gently against the door, not forcefully, but with the steady pressure of someone who's raised 3 children and knows when to be immovable. I haven't seen my grandchildren in 3 months, Alicia. I know, I'm sorry. Things have been 3 months. I'm inside now, and she steps back, her hand fluttering uselessly at her side like a broken bird. What's happening here? The living room looks like a staged photograph. Too clean, too still. Sophia and Miguel sit side by side on the couch, their bodies angled toward the television, but their attention clearly elsewhere. An animated movie plays, but neither child laughs or reacts. They're like little statues, and when I enter the room, they glance up briefly before returning their eyes to the screen. No squeals of "Grandma," no running hugs, no Miguel climbing into my arms the way he used to, chattering about dinosaurs and his preschool friends. Sophia! Miguel! I cross to them, kneeling with effort. My knees aren't what they used to be. I've missed you both so much. Can Grandma have a hug? Sophia's eyes dart toward the hallway. Miguel's hands grip his knees. They're fine. Mom! Alicia says quickly, her voice pitching higher. They're just watching their show. Hi, Grandma, Sophia whispers, mechanically, like reciting lines she's memorized. Can you tell me about school, sweetheart? Are you still doing art class? Miguel leans slightly toward me, and for a moment I think he'll speak, but then his gaze fixes on something behind me, and his mouth snaps shut. In a voice barely audible, he says, "We're not supposed to talk about Daddy's old family." The air leaves my lungs. Behind me, Alicia makes a sound, a choked gasp or suppressed sob. I can't tell. I twist around, still kneeling, and see Romero standing in the hallway. He's barefoot, wearing jeans and a fitted t-shirt, arms crossed over his chest. His expression isn't surprised or defensive. It's cold, calculated. "We discussed boundaries," he says. His voice quiet but sharp as a blade. I push myself to standing, ignoring the protest in my knees. "Old family? What does that mean, Miguel?" I keep my eyes on Romero, watching him move forward with the controlled grace of a predator. "What old family?" You need to leave. Romero positions himself between me and the children, close enough that I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. Now. Alicia? I look past him to my daughter, who's pressing both hands against her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Alicia, what is he talking about? Mom, please. Her voice breaks. Who are you? I'm not shouting, but my voice fills the room. What happened 6 years ago, Romero? Where did you come from? His jaw clenches, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. This is none of your business. My daughter is my business. My grandchildren are my business. My $75,000 is my... That was a gift. The word cracks like a whip. You gave it freely. I gave it to save your home. I gave it because I thought... My throat constricts. Because I thought you were family. Because I thought my daughter was safe. Sophia starts crying, small, hiccuping sobs that sound practiced, like she's learned to cry quietly. Miguel stares at his lap, motionless. Alicia! I try to step around Romero, but he mirrors my movement, blocking me. Alicia, look at me, please! She does, finally, and the terror in her eyes is unmistakable. Not anger, not defensiveness, terror. Tell me, I say. Whatever it is, just tell me. I'm your mother. I can help. Romero laughs, a short, bitter sound. Help? You've done enough. Who did you used to be? The question emerges steady despite my shaking hands. Before Romero Vega. Who were you? The silence stretches so long, I can hear the cartoon voices from the television, cheerful and absurd. Alicia sinks onto the arm of the couch, covering her face with both hands. And Romero smiles. Slowly, without warmth. The expression of someone who's already decided how this ends. Get out of my house, he says softly. Or I call the police and tell them my unstable mother-in-law is trespassing and frightening my children. What spark will you give if the people you have chosen as family and treated really good starts to behave differently? Do you think you can live a healthy life thinking about family values all the time? Enlighten us in the comments section how you would react if you were in my shoes. Right now, I need a therapist, don't I? I stand there, frozen, the weight of the moment crushing down. Miguel's whisper echoes in my head. Daddy's old family. I won't leave. Not without answers. Not without my daughter. The standoff lasts an eternity, or maybe just seconds. Time feels elastic, warped. Romero stands like a wall between me and the children. Sophia's quiet crying continues. Miguel stares at his hands. And Alicia crumbles. She slides from the arm of the couch to the floor, knees pulled to her chest, and the sound that comes from her is animal, raw, and broken. I can't do this anymore, she gasps between sobs. I can't. Alicia. Romero's voice shifts, loses its edge, becomes almost pleading. Don't. She deserves to know. My daughter's face is blotchy, contorted. God, Mom, I'm so sorry. But he made me do all this. I think he charmed me in a way. I thought of how long we have been together. I had to do it. Do what? I move past Romero. He doesn't stop me this time, and lower myself onto the floor beside her, wrapping my arms around her shaking shoulders. She feels so small. When did she become so small? Tell me. I whisper into her hair. Whatever it is, just tell me. The story comes in fragments, disjointed and waterlogged with tears. A woman named Jessica contacted Alicia on Facebook a year ago. She sent photos. Romero with 2 children, a boy and a girl, standing in front of a different house in a different state. The boy had Miguel's exact nose. The girl had Sophia's eyes. The message said, "Do you know who you're married to?" His real name was Roman Castellanos. He'd been married for 8 years. 2 kids, Brandon, now 12, and Emma, now 10. 7 years ago, Roman's business venture collapsed. Something about real estate investments that turned out to be fraudulent, money borrowed from friends and family that evaporated, angry investors threatening lawsuits. Jessica woke up one morning to find half their bank account emptied and Roman gone. No note, no call, just gone. He left them with nothing, Alicia whispers, her voice scraped raw. The house was foreclosed. Jessica had to move in with her mother. She worked 3 jobs trying to pay off the debts Roman left behind. The kids, his kids, Mom, they thought their father was dead. That's what she told them, because it was easier than the truth. I feel my chest constricting, like I'm underwater. And you found this out a year ago? I was pregnant with Miguel. Alicia lifts her head, her face devastated. 8 months pregnant. I confronted him and he broke down. He cried, "Mom." He said he was a different person then, that he'd made terrible mistakes, that he'd been running from his failures. He said he'd reinvented himself, gone to therapy, become someone better. He begged me to believe he'd changed. And you believed him. I don't mean it as an accusation, but it lands like one. I didn't know what else to do. Her voice cracks. I was about to have a baby. We'd already bought this house. My whole life was built with him. I thought... She covers her face with both hands. I thought maybe people can change. Maybe he really was different now. Romero hasn't moved from his position near the children. When I look at him, his expression is carefully neutral, but I can see the tension in his jaw, the calculation in his eyes.
You don't deny it, I say. He meets my gaze steadily. That was a different life, a different man. I'm not proud of who I was 7 years ago, but I'm not that person anymore. I built something here. I provide for this family. My children, he gestures towards Sophia and Miguel, are safe, happy, cared for. And your other children? The question comes out sharp as glass. Brandon and Emma, are they safe, happy, cared for? His face hardens. Their mother is capable. Their mother is drowning in the debt you left her. I'm standing now, my whole body shaking. What about the lawsuits? The eviction? Silence. Mom. Alicia's voice is barely audible. Jessica found us. Last year, after I wouldn't respond to her messages, she hired a lawyer. She filed for child support, 7 years of back payments, plus ongoing support. The lawsuit named Roman Castellanos, but also Romero Vega, claiming they were the same person. The room tilts. Alicia continues, each word sounding like it's being dragged out of her. The court agreed. They proved it was him. The judgment was for nearly $200,000 in back support and damages. That's why we were going to lose the house. That's why we needed...
Would you have ever thought that someone you can move mountains for, being in a tight spot again, and they only got you as their emotional support? Would you feel drained or still want to help? My money. The realization hits like a physical blow. My $75,000. We used it to settle with Jessica, Romero says flatly, to make her go away. The rest we're paying in installments. I can't breathe, can't think. My savings, my retirement, my security, my future didn't save my daughter's home. It helped a man escape responsibility for the family he destroyed. It paid off the woman whose life he ruined so he could continue his new life unburdened. You let me believe you were victims, I say, my voice eerily calm. You let me drain my savings to help you, and you were just covering up his crimes.
They're not crimes, Romero says quickly. You abandoned your wife and children. The words explode out of me. You committed fraud. You changed your identity to escape your responsibilities. I started over. His voice rises to match mine. I made mistakes and I faced consequences. I'm paying Jessica now. I'm taking care of this family now. I'm a good father. You're a good father? I'm laughing, but there's no humor in it. Your first children think you're dead. Your current children are terrified. You've isolated my daughter, stolen from me, and you think, nobody stole anything. You gave that money freely. Because you lied. Sophia is openly sobbing now, her small body curled into a ball. Miguel has his hands over his ears, and Elisa just sits on the floor, rocking slightly, looking like she's already somewhere far away. "Get out," Romero says again, but there's less power behind it now. He sounds tired. "You've done enough damage for one day." I look at my daughter, really look at her, at the woman who used to read my silences, who understood me better than anyone. She won't meet my eyes. "Alicia?" I say softly. "Come home with me. Bring the children. Just for tonight, please." She thinks deeply. Reasons why she likes Alicia still makes her playing along. But what she's unleashing is way beyond her thoughts. What will she do? She shakes her head, still rocking. "I can't." "Yes, you can. You can leave right now." "I can't." She finally looks up, and the resignation in her face is worse than the terror. "This is my life, Mom. I chose this. I stayed. I knew, and I stayed." The truth of it settles over us like ash. My daughter chose him, even knowing what he was, even seeing what he'd done. And my money, my careful, precious savings, helped her make that choice sustainable. Tomorrow's episode, Romero reveals more hidden secrets. If you want to hear what happens next, subscribe and turn on notifications. This gives you first-hand access to the videos and episodes coming up next.